What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. Today, I'll be taking a look at the entries for the 2025 Food City 500 at Bristol Motor Speedway. So anyways, let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. We're going to start by talking about the 0-1 car for Rick Ware Racing. This is once going to be driven by Corey LaJoie, who will make his third Cup start of 2025. He's shown some solid speed on the Super Speedways early in the season, but is going to be making his first non-Super Speedway appearance of the 2025 year. LaJoie's been up and down at Bristol Motor Speedway historically, so we'll have to wait and see how he does this weekend. I do think he's going to struggle a little bit with the Rick Ware Racing equipment, and I think he finishes near the back of the pack this weekend at Bristol Motor Speedway. Up next, how about the one car for Trackhouse Racing? This will once again be driven by Ross Chastain. Ross Chastain's coming off finishing in 7th position at Darlington Raceway and continues to show some solid speed in the early portion of this season. He's been alright at this track in the past, has had some decent stats. He's looking for his first win in 2025. Not sure if it's going to happen this weekend at Bristol, but I think there's a chance for another top 10 when we get to the track this weekend at Bristol Motor Speedway. Up next, up with the 2 car for Team Penske. This will once again be driven by Austin Cindric. Austin Cindric continues to have a decent season in 2025 as he's had some good runs early in the year. Now, historically at Bristol, he's been hit or miss. He's had a lot of good runs at this track at times in Xfinity, but hasn't really had the best stats in this track in Cup. I think there's a chance with the more speed he's shown that he may get a top 10, but I think it's going to be a little struggle this weekend at Bristol. I think he finishes in the middle of the pack this weekend. Up next, up with the 3 car for Richard Childress Racing. This is once going to be driven by Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon's coming off, I believe, finishing around 20th to 25th in the race, and Austin Dillon's had some better runs in 2025 than he did in 2024. Unfortunately, last year, if I remember correctly, Austin Dillon was not that good at this track, and RCR has not been that good at Bristol over the last couple years. So I think it's going to be a little struggle for Austin Dillon, and I think he finishes a little bit farther back in the field this weekend. Up next, up with the 4 car for Front Row Motorsports. This will once again be driven by Noah Gragson. Noah Gragson finished in the top 20 this past weekend at Darlington Raceway, and I feel like the front row is starting to show a little bit more speed in the second half of the early portion of the year. I think Noah Gragson's looking for a good run. He's been solid at Bristol. He won the Xfinity Series back, I believe, in 2020. He looks for a good run and looks to pick up his first career Cup win, though I don't expect it to be a major factor for the win at Bristol. Up next, up with the 5 car for Hendrick Motorsports. This will once again be driven by Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson's weekend in Darlington did not go well as he crashed out on lap 4 of the race and came back and crashed near the end of the event. Luckily for Kyle Larson, we're going to track where Kyle Larson's had some success as he's won here twice before in 2021 and the last time he ran here at Bristol. I think Larson's going to have a chance to win. He's going to be going for all 3 races as he'll run the Xfinity Cup and the truck races as well. Kyle Larson looks to get his second win in 2025 and his 31st career Cup Series win. Up next, up with the 6 car for RFK Racing. This will once again be driven by Brad Keselowski. After showing a lot of speed early in the race at Darlington, Brad Keselowski got caught up in a situation where he went multiple laps down. We're going to track where Brad almost won in the fall race in 2022, and I think Brad could honestly have a turnaround this weekend. He's shown some good speed at this track in the past, and I do think that Brad Keselowski will have a chance and opportunity. He's won here before a couple times. I look for him to be a factor for a top 15 this weekend at Bristol. Up next, up the 7 car for Spire Motorsports. This one once again be driven by Justin Haley. Justin Haley's coming off the lead, finishing in the bottom half of the field, unfortunately, and it's been an up and down start for the number 7 team early in the season. He's looking for a good run this weekend, hopefully, at a track where he's shown some decent pace and speed in the past. He's looking to get Spire Motorsports maybe their first win ever, their first win since 2019 when he won at Daytona. He looks for a good run and looks to show some good speed as, of course, he lost his car chief not too long ago. Up next, I have the 8 car for Richard Childress Racing. This will once again be driven by Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch has had some more speed in the early portion of the season as Kyle Busch has had 4 top 10s in the first 8 races of the season. And I think that speed is going to continue for Kyle, but it won't be super great because RCR has not been that good at this track. I do think that Kyle Busch will contend for top 15, which will be better than he's ran in the past at this track in recent years. This is historically one of Kyle Busch's best tracks, but hasn't been as good in the next-gen era. He looks for a good run this weekend, though, at Bristol. Up next, up the 9 car for Hendrick Motorsports. This one once going to be driven by Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott is coming off of having another top 10 finish this past weekend at Darlington. And remember, the last time he ran here, he finished runner-up to Kyle Larson, who dominated. I think Chase Elliott could be a factor for a win, but hasn't had always a race-winning speed outside of Martinsville. I think he's going to have a chance and opportunity for another top 10 to continue the top 10 streak as he's one of the most consistent drivers early in the year. He looks for a 6th top 10 of the 2025 season. Up next up, the 10 car for Colleague Racing. This will once again be driven by Ty Dillon. Ty Dillon has been impressing me early in the season as he's sitting in the top 25 in points and has had 3 or 4 consecutive top 20 finishes. I've liked the speed from the number 10 car early in the year compared to prior years. This has been a decent track though, but honestly, Colleague's been hit or miss on their short track program, so we'll see what Ty Dillon can do. We'll see if he'll be a factor this weekend at Bristol. Up next up, the 11 car for Joe Gibbs Racing. This will once again be driven by Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin last weekend at Darlington picked up his 56th career NASCAR Cup Series victory, Darlington Raceway, and went back-to-back, and is looking to go back-to-back into spring races as well, as he's won the crazy tire race in 2024. He's looking to go 3 in a row for the first time in many, many years. I think Hamlin's going to have a chance and opportunity to do that with the speed that Joe Gibbs Racing has shown early in the season. We'll see what the 11 team can do at Bristol. Up next up, the 12 car for Team Penske. This will once again be driven by Ryan Blaney. Ryan Blaney's had a lot of speed early in the year, but the luck has not been there. He's been close to winning a few races early in the season, but is still looking for his first win of 2025. We're going to track where Blaney's had a lot of speed, but has had a lot of bad luck. I think for Blaney, though, he's going to have a chance to go to victory lane. He's shown a lot of speed early in the season, and I think that early season speed is going to continue for Blaney as he still looks for his first Cup win of 2025. Up next up, the 16 car for Colleague Racing. This will once again be driven by AJ Allmendinger. AJ Allmendinger has shown some decent speed early in the season, has had top 10, top 15 speed on a pretty consistent basis. And I think there's a chance he could contend for an okay run, as he's been good here in Xfinity, but not been the most fantastic in Cup. He's looking for a good run this weekend, looking to get maybe a win out of nowhere. He's had top 5, top 10 speed in the past at this track. I think that speed might continue for him this weekend at Bristol. Up next, I have the 17 car for RFK Racing. This will once again be driven by Chris Buescher. Chris Buescher had a lot of speed at Darlington Racing, but unfortunately got caught up by that situation with his teammate Brad Keselowski. I think Buescher is going to be somewhat of a factor. He's been good here at Bristol in the past, and of course won the fall race in 2022. RFK looks to continue building on the momentum they've had in recent weeks. He's still looking for that first win of the season, his 7th career NASCAR Cup Series win. I do think that Buescher will have a chance and opportunity to do that this weekend at Bristol Motor Speedway. Up next, I have the 19 car for Joe Gibbs Racing. This will once again be driven by Chase Briscoe. Chase Briscoe had a disastrous run at Darlington Raceway as he finished almost outside of the top 30. He's looking for a turnaround run at a track where he's been decent in the past, and I look for Briscoe to actually run a little bit better. Martin Truex Jr. had a really strong car in this race in the fall last year, and I think that speed will show up this weekend as Briscoe's looking for his first win of 2025. I think the speed will be there. I think we'll have a chance for definitely to get a win this weekend at Bristol. Up next, I have the 20 car for Joe Gibbs Racing. This will once again be driven by Christopher Bell. Christopher Bell's coming off finishing in the top 5 for, I believe, the 4th or 5th time in 2025, and once again came very close to winning another race and getting his 4th win of the year. We go to a track where Bell has shown a lot of speed. Bell has not won here in the Cup Series before, but I think he's got a shot to get that 4th win this season. He's had a lot of good speed at times this year. After a couple not-so-great races, Martinsville was really good. A track kind of similar to Bristol. I think for Bell to be a factor to get that 4th win of 2025. Up next up, the 21 car for the Wood Brothers. This will once again be driven by Josh Berry. Josh Berry's had a lot of speed early in the season, but has also had a lot of bad luck as well. As last week at Darlington, he had a top 5 to top 10 car and crashed out due to an incident with Tyler Reddick. I do think that Josh Berry will have a solid chance and opportunity for a good run, as he's been good here in Xfinity and has also been decent here in Cup as well. He led 25 laps in the spring. I look for Berry to be a factor for maybe a top 10 at Bristol. Up next up, the 22 car for Team Penske. This will once again be driven by Joey Logano. Joey Logano finally picked up his first or second top 10. Actually, only has gotten one top 10 so far this year. And we're going to track where Logano has not been that amazing at in recent years. He just kind of struggled here at this track. Logano has had a lot of speed, but hasn't had a lot of finishes to back up in show for. He goes to a track where he's looking to turn around the corner, have a good run. We'll see what he can do, and we'll see if Joey Logano can get another top 10 or maybe his first top 5 of the season at Bristol. Up next up, the 23 car for 23XI Racing. This will once again be driven by Bubba Wallace. After a couple really strong runs in recent weeks, Bubba Wallace unfortunately did not have the best run at Darlington as he got caught in that situation with Brad Keselowski and finished in 21st place. We're going to track where Bubba actually was really good last year in both races, as Bubba finished third in the fall race last year. I think he's sleeper to go to victory lane. I think he's got a chance to get that first win. I think it's very likely he'll win with Charles Dennehy as the crew chief. I look for Bubba to get that first win in coming weeks, and it could happen this weekend at Bristol. Up next up with the 24 car for Hendrick Motorsports. This will once again be driven by William Byron. William Byron is coming off of leading almost a whole entire race and led 243 laps at Darlington, but got caught up because of pit strategy. But he continues to be extremely consistent early in the year. He's still looking for that second win of the season, and he's been kind of hit or miss at this track in the past. But I think his early season speed is going to continue. I think he's going to have a chance and opportunity to get the win for sure this weekend at Bristol. Up next up at the 33 car for Richard Childress Racing. This will be driven by Jesse Love, who will make his NASCAR Cup Series debut this weekend at Bristol. Jesse Love has been very impressive in the NASCAR Xfinity Series over the course of the last couple of years and has already picked up a win early this season at Daytona and has shown some race-winning speed at other tracks as well. I think Jesse Love will actually be better than Austin Hill was in this car last week, and I think there's a chance this could be a full-time ride for him in 2026, depending how this race goes. We'll see what he can do as he looks to run really well this weekend at Bristol. Up next up at a 34 car for Front Row Motorsports. This will once again be driven by Todd Gilliland. Todd Gilliland is coming off of having a decent run, finishing inside the top 15 at Darlington Raceway. And I feel like that Todd Gilliland's been kind of underrated early in the year, as I believe he's currently sitting in the top 20 in the standings right now. He's been one of the better drivers at Front Row early in the year. He's been the leader of this team, and I think that leadership is going to continue as Todd Gilliland looks to get his first or another top 10 this year and maybe get a top 5, which I think will be the first top 5 of the year. We'll see what he does at Bristol. Up next up at the 35 car for 2311 Racing. This will once again be driven by Riley Herbst. Riley Herbst continues to struggle in the early portion of this year and just has not had the pace and speed to contend early in this season and is currently sitting 34th in the points. He just hasn't been there. It's been a struggle for this team, and I'm not sure the speed will get back for the number 35 team. I think it's going to be a little bit of a mess for him, unfortunately, and I think that Riley Herbst more than likely will finish in the back of the pack like he's been doing most of the early portion of the year. Up next up with the 38 car for Front Row Motorsports. This will once again be driven by Zane Smith. Zane Smith had a very solid performance at Darlington, was in the top 10, got some stage wins, and he actually finished inside the top 15. I do think that he will have a solid chance for a top 10 as he's shown some good speed at times early in the year, and I think he's looking for a top 10 at this point. We'll see what he can do, and we'll see if Zane Smith can show the pace and speed to be up front at Bristol. Up next up with the 41 car for the Haas factory team. This will once again be driven by Cole Custer. Cole Custer's best season continues as he's currently the second last driver in the full-time points right now. He just has not had the best start he's been looking for. I think he's only had maybe one top 20 finish all year, and it's just been a mess for the number 41 team, and I don't think things are going to get better. It's just been a mess, and we'll see what he can do, and we'll see if maybe he can turn it around this weekend at Bristol. Up next up with the 42 car for Legacy Motor Club. This will once again be driven by John Hunter Nemechek. John Hunter Nemechek has had some decent runs early in the year, and I believe is sitting around 20th to 21st in the points. I do think that Nemechek could have a decent run, as his 42 car with Carson Nospar 2 years ago was really, really fast. We'll see what Nemechek can do, and we'll see if John Hunter can maybe get another top 10, like he's had a couple at this point this year. We'll see what the 42 can bring at Bristol. Up next up with the 43 car for Legacy Motor Club. This will once again be driven by Eric Jones. Now, Eric Jones had a really solid run at Darlington. I believe finished inside the top 20 in the event, and I think he even got some stage points as well. This is a decent track for Eric Jones as well, so I think there's a chance and opportunity for him to maybe get a top 10 run. I know he wants to do really good this weekend. He's wanting to have a good run with the lawsuit going up between Legacy Motor Club and Rick Ware Racing. We'll see what he can do this weekend at Bristol. Up next up with the 45 car for 2311 Racing. This will once again be driven by Tyler Reddick. After having a couple not-so-great races, Darlington went very well for Tyler Reddick as he finished inside of the top 10 and finished inside the top 5, was in position to pick up the win. I think Tyler Reddick will have a good chance and opportunity to get at least maybe a top 10, but this historically is not one of Tyler Reddick's best racetracks. I think it will be a little bit of struggle to be a massive threat in serious contender. We'll see what he can do, and we'll see if Reddick can maybe get another top 10 at Bristol. Up next up with the 47 car for Hayek Motorsports. This will once again be driven by Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has had an up and down start to the 2025 season, but has also had some decent runs as well. And this track historically for Stenhouse has actually been very, very good. I think that Stenhouse will have a decent shot and opportunity of maybe getting himself a top 15 finish. I don't think he's going to be a factor to go to win or get the victory, but I think a top 15 or 20 is certainly possible this weekend at Bristol. Up next, top of the 48 car for Hendrick Motorsports. This will once again be driven by Alex Bowman. After a super impressive start early in the year, the last couple weeks have been rough for Bowman. And we're going to track where Bowman won the pole last time, but I'm not sure about the speed that he is going to show. He's had decent speed at the track, but has never been super impressive. He's looking for his first win since Chicago last year, and I think there's a chance he could join the winners from Hendrick, that being Larson and Byron. We'll see what Bowman can do this weekend at Bristol. Up next, up at the 51 car for Rick Ware Racing. This will once again be driven by Cody Ware. Now, Cody Ware is the last driver in full season points, but I will say he actually had an okay run for his standards at Darlington as he finished inside of the top 30. This team still has a lot of work to do to get up to speed, but I do like the speed they were showing at Darlington. I feel like the Cody's been getting a little bit better as the year has gone on. We'll see what it can do, and we'll see if Cody can show some decent speed at Bristol. Up next, up at the 54 car for Joe Gibbs Racing. This will once again be driven by Ty Gibbs. After a disaster start early in the season, Ty Gibbs is really turning the corner. He's had a couple solid runs as he finished 13th at Martinsville and finished at 9th at Darlington. I think he's got a shot here to get another good run. He's been showing some good speed in recent weeks. They, of course, hired Cheddar Smith as a car chief recently, which I think is going to help this program going forward. I think Ty Gibbs does have a chance and opportunity to turn it around and get a good finish and get another top 10 for the second week in a row. Up next, up the 60 car for RFK Racing. This will once again be driven by Ryan Preece. After a really strong start early in the season, he unfortunately got caught in some bad breaks at Darlington, where he finished 26th. We are going to track where Ryan Preece, I believe, scored a top 10 finish last year, and I think he's got a chance to do that once again, especially if tires come into play like they did last time we were here. I think Preece will be a major factor for the victory. He's looking for his first career Cup Series win. I think he's got a good opportunity and good chance to get that done for sure. We'll see what Ryan Preece can do this weekend at Bristol Motor Speedway. Up next, up with the 66 car for Garage 66. This team is back once again with Josh Blicky behind the wheel, who I believe will make his first Cup start of 2025 after Casey Mears made his return about 6 years ago, for the first time. Josh Blicky is a very underrated driver. I think he's got a decent shot here, and I'm very intrigued to see who else will be behind the wheel of this car throughout the remainder of the year. There's rumors they could do the Chicago Street Course, so we'll see what it can do. We'll see if Blicky can show some good runs, do better than what Chandler Smith did, and see if he can do better than what Casey Mears did a couple weeks ago at Martinsville. Up next, up the 71 car for Spire Motorsports. This will once again be driven by Michael McDowell. Michael McDowell finished inside the top 20, I believe, once again, and actually had some okay speed at Darlington. And I feel like McDowell's been underrated early in the season. He's coming to a track where he's actually been solid with Front Row Motorsports, and I do look for him to maybe get another top 20 finish. I don't think he's going to be a factor to go to win and go to victory lane, but I think a top 10 is certainly possible. We'll see what he can do this weekend at Bristol. Up next, having a 77 car for Spire Motorsports. This will once again be driven by Carson Hocevar. Carson Hocevar, after a really strong run at Atlanta early in this year, the races in between have been a disaster. And Carson, because of that, is now down to 32nd or 31st in the points. He needs to turn the corner soon, otherwise there's going to be a lot of questions about this. It's been a rough go at times. We're going to track who's been solid in the past, so we'll see if he can turn around and actually not make any mistakes this weekend at Bristol. Up next, up with the 88 car for Trackhouse Racing. This will once again be driven by Shane Van Gisbergen. Shane Van Gisbergen last week at Darlington scored his first top 20 oval finish of the 2025 year. It's been a rough season for the 88 team early, but I look for the team to try to continue turning the corner and maybe gets back-to-back top 20 finishes. Trackhouse has been up and down early in the year with the speed. We'll see if SVG can run really good. I think he's got a shot for a top 20, but outside of that, I don't think he's going to be a factor. I think he will have a shot for top 20, but that's probably going to be it for SVG at Bristol. And finally, let's talk about the 99 car for Trackhouse. This will once again be driven by Daniel Suarez. Daniel Suarez, after a lot of really good early season speed and actually having some decent speed throughout the year, he actually got a top 15 finish at Darlington. I will say there's still a lot of conversation that Connor Zilisch is going to take the seat in 2026, but I've been impressed with Suarez a lot more, and he's trying to do as good as he can for his next job, more than likely for next year. We'll see what he can do this weekend. He's been hit or miss at this track in the past. We'll see if Suarez can do good and have another good run this weekend at Bristol. So, that is going to be it for the intros for the 2025 Food City 500 at Bristol Motor Speedway. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video, it does go live on my channel. Follow me Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Let's go some more of it, and comment your thoughts below on today's episode. Your thoughts about today's interest, let me know it in the comments below. Tomorrow on the channel, we are going to later today, we're going to have Truck Series race picks for Bristol. We're also on Wednesday going to have the Xfinity race picks and a news video more than likely. And then on Thursday, we'll have Cup race picks of the Food City 500 along with the paint scheme video. And then on Friday, we're going to have a NASCAR news video and the Truck Series review and Xfinity Series qualifying reactions more than likely. Actually, we might do truck qualifying reactions of the Truck Series race happening. And then Saturday, we're going to have Xfinity reactions of qualifying and the review for Xfinity and also the Cup reactions of qualifying as well. And then Sunday, we'll have the race review, the starting lineup, and maybe an SVG video. And then Monday, we should have a NASCAR news video as we head to the next race of the season, which will be really, really fun. We've got a lot of great content dropping on the channel soon that I can't wait for you guys to check out. There's going to be some good racing this week, and actually we have an off week coming up, which is exciting. We'll be heading to Rockingham for that, which is the first time we'll be there. We got content coming out of people like Haley Deegan, Shane Van Gisbergen, Cards, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, Connor Zillich, Chandler Smith, Eric Almirola, Ross Chastain, and all that good stuff on the channel very soon, along with Frankie Muniz and Cletus McFarland, and Junior Motorsports as well. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content, other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.